Welcome back to the hottest marriage show in the world. It's I, John D.N.,
Danica,
a.k.a.
Dude.
And Too Much Podcast. Rescripting the culture, one conversation at a time. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm fine. You?
I'm good. What's on your brain?
Nothing really.
Really?
Yeah. I'm trying to go bowling.
Oh, okay. We need to finish this up then.
No rush. Go ahead.
Okay. So I had a question about, I guess, a mutual entertainer that we like, Kendrick Lamar.
Love Kendrick.
Yeah. There's been this thing lately about people that like his music versus Drake's music. And he kind of made a line as far as this is the reason why I don't want him making money or why I don't like his style of music. And then this thing came up that said that people that don't appreciate Kendrick Lamar aren't woke enough or they don't understand the messaging. And I know that could be offensive to some, but I was wondering, what do you think about people not understanding the purpose or the intent of Kendrick Lamar?
Okay, so first, I can't stand when people use the word woke, and this is why. When somebody asked me about woke, and I looked up the definition, not because I don't know what it is to me, but people use it so much, and the others use it a lot. And so, do you know that one of the first things that came up was wokeism and how it was defined by DeSantis? Woke originated.
Hold on, they said he made it?
No, well, they're just one of the first things was talking about how he defined it. And I think it's interesting that it is a word that was used in Black culture. When we used to tell people stay woke, it was just like, stay aware of what's going on around you. You know, be safe, know what's happening around you or whatever. Not like who creeping around the corner, but stay woke is just be aware. And the fact that when I look up the word DeSantis comes up before most anything else is wild to me. But I also think that I don't think that people should be measured on you are or you're not woke because you don't understand the symbolism that's used or the terminology used with Kendrick Lamar. Number one, because Kendrick Lamar grew up listening to music and using references and ideas and evolving ideas from decades and decades ahead, you know, behind him in music. So a lot of what he's saying, if when we were growing up, you weren't really into hip hop, you were into R&B, there are things that are you were like, okay, yeah. So that doesn't have any measure to me in that way. Some of the symbolism he used, like just recently in his last performance, people are like, well, did you see that he used this to mean this? I think a lot of times people are finding these messages. I would be interested to know if when people are talking about all of the symbolism that they've seen, if when Kendrick listens, he's like, that's what I thought, or y'all taking it too far, or I wasn't even thinking that.
Yeah.
I don't think that people being woke or not being woke should be measured off of whether or not you could
decipher.
Yeah. All of the messaging. Like when I see the stuff that people have said is the meaning behind this, that, and the other, some of the stuff I'm like, okay, y'all doing too much. Some of the stuff I'm like, that's really clever. And I think we've been seeing a lot of this in the last year with the music that he's been putting out there where people are like, do you realize what this means? And da. That's great. But I think that woke has evolved into this exclusive group of people who feel like this is what I feel from this whole Kendrick thing. They've made it this more exclusive group of Black people. If you don't understand then you're not woke, you this, you that. I think that we need to quit doing that. Because, you know, you're taking the original meaning where it was like, you know, we had a lot of people in the community that were asleep. Like they were drinking the Kool-Aid that everybody was putting out there about the Black community, ideas of who we were and, you know, what we were capable of, the potential or the lack of potential. We had all the other stuff. And it was all this messaging that was kind of trying to keep us asleep and keeping the machine of America going at our expense, at the expense of our people in our community. And so when people talk about being woke, if I have a general understanding of being aware of what's going on around me so that I don't fall victim to, what did Malcolm X say? If you listen to the media, it'll make you hate yourself or something. I can't remember what the quote is, but essentially is meaning if you read what other people say about us, I mean, I understand why you would hate us. I mean, you would, but I can't do that. I can't fall into the trap of continuing to feed the machine and then not knowing what's going on around me. That to me is woke and sleep. Being able to figure out what Kendrick was talking about when he put Game Over at the end of his performance, that doesn't measure one way or another about me and whether or not I'm aware of the overall look of Black culture or Black people and how we fit in the system or the larger system of America. So the argument, I did have some friends that was like, some of these people don't know what's going on, And then I had this one friend, she was like, nah, if y'all over here try to talk junk about who I am as a Black person just because I can't, I don't know why it's a game board on the super, like, it was really offensive to her. And I understand, because being Black does not mean that you are plugged into hip hop. It just doesn't. Being Black does not mean you are plugged into all things basketball and football. Being Black it doesn't mean any of those things. And being woke does not tie you to having certain expectations of being able to read the hieroglyphs that this young man has put out here for us to be able to decipher. I don't agree with it. Although I love the ideas that people are bringing out about the symbolism. I think that they're all great. I think that some things are mind-bending and it's fun, but that's not a qualification for the original meaning.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But what are your thoughts?
Before I give my thoughts, so when you say that, do you think it's a responsibility for people to figure out what the meaning is? The reason why I'm asking, because I felt like some people gave their opinion as if their opinion was bigger than the message. And when I look at us, they say we don't have any unity or whatnot. There's somebody specifically taking a stand to represent people of color.
Oh, yeah. Pat.
And then we have people that he's standing up for that's saying these things about his performance as if that was what he was looking for. He was trying to get out this message to the masses that, hey, this is African-American culture from the United States. So do you think that it's a responsibility for us to learn the message before because, depending on who you are, your message could overshadow something bigger than what it was really supposed to be for. So do you think that we have a responsibility to learn the message before we open our mouth?
Yeah, but there's always since the beginning of time, we've always been divided at least in two groups about how we want to see the world, American society in particular, and how we choose to move forward. We saw with Malcolm and Martin, we saw with WEV and with Booker T. You're not going to find in our culture, you're not going to find Black people who are all going to see everything in one way and be able to move forward in one way. You're just not. And there are some Black people who I feel they just may feel that what he's saying isn't significant to them or relevant to them. Even if I think that this also makes me think about like things that have gone on in civil rights and things that were fought for by Black people. Everybody benefited from it. And in recent years, some people have fought against it, saying that it's a problem. And then once we lose it, then they realize that they were actually beneficiaries as well. I think the same thing with Black people. I think that there are some of us who don't buy into the messaging. They feel like it's not necessary. We're far beyond that now. We don't need all of that talk. But when you take that messaging out, and when the world moves on and those voices aren't heard and giving that little bit of resistance, there's going to be a backlash, and then you're going to feel it. And you're going to try to figure out why is all this happening? because the voices that were trying to raise up those issues were kind of silenced and ignored. And now here you are. Yeah. So, but I think that that's always the case. So even though I think everybody should try to hear the message, should try to understand it before they talk about it, that's not always going to happen. Now, whether the message, I think that we're talking about, well, I may be wrong and you could correct me, is the overall, like, be protective and loving and selective about how you let people pimp out Black culture to do whatever they want. Like, it's something special. It's something that we should be protective of. And that's what I'm thinking the message is. Not so much trying to figure out the in-between messages of why there was a game board or why somebody scripted.
Yeah, I'm talking about what he wanted people to, not the breakdown of what people wanted.
Okay, yeah. And I just wanted to clarify that because that's the big thing. The big thing is you didn't see all of the message. No, but do you see the big message? So the big message is, let's not let people just, take what they want and do what they want with the culture without having a full understanding of it. And then, it's important. It's something that literally, and sometimes I feel like we minimize Black culture to hip hop, and it's not just hip hop. It's so many other things that we've built over the 400 some odd years that we've been here in this capacity with America.
I think it's the loudest voice.
It is the loudest voice. Hip hop is the loudest voice. They have the mic. I'm not gonna lie about that, but there's a lot to our culture beyond hip hop. And sometimes I think people just look at what we let people rap about or what they should be able to say. It goes with a lot of stuff. It goes with fashion. It goes with research. It goes with, things that we've discovered. It goes with all of these things. We should be more protective of, and of the people, the mouthpieces.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There are people who speak on behalf of, not necessarily on behalf of all Black people, but they've contributed a lot to Black culture in a lot of different ways. And we need to be protective of them too, to not let people just silence them or talk down on them or whatever the case may be. So I don't want to center it on hip hop, but I think because there is where the mic is and there is where the messaging is coming from. A lot of different messages on different parts of our culture.
Yeah.
It's important that I think that's why people zero in on that and say, this is Black culture. It's not, but it's the expression of it. Everybody gets to tell, because Outkast ain't saying the same thing Kendrick is saying, but we lived in Atlanta and I felt like what they was talking about was like, for real, that was life.
Yeah.
Kendrick talks about what's life for him, whoever, you know what I'm saying? So I do think that everybody should be listening to the message and trying to figure out why do y'all feel like this is important before you go in and start talking about how it's not. And if we're talking about the bigger picture of Kendrick and Drake, I think that that's one of the things that we're missing. I like Drake music. I like Drake's music. I didn't know he was doing all of the extra
being tough.
Yeah, I didn't know he was doing all that. I think just because that wasn't the music that comes into my playlist, but all of the little ditties, not ditties, all the little fun music, I love that stuff about Drake. And so it's cool. All of the stuff that Kendrick does, I love the stuff that he does too. So it's not anybody that I'm not going to say that I don't like anybody's particular music. I'm just saying we got to understand what the bigger picture of what we're talking about. But the messaging, I think you should at least listen and think about how it applies in the bigger picture before you start running off, as President Obama said, popping off about what's going on and what you think or don't think should be. I feel like that's one of the biggest problems with us in our culture is that we're often divided on simple things. And then we lose sight of the bigger thing. So, sorry.
Do you think there's an age gap?
In what?
In being divided amongst this?
Because it's people our age just talking crazy about taking sides. I don't think that there's any different. I think anybody who listens to their music, no matter what age, everybody is in that natural realm of taking sides. I don't know. I've seen people on my timeline that talk about Drake. I see them talk about how excited they are about Kendrick, and I'll be like, oh, it's a lot of investment.
It is.
But I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. Outside of that, I was really talkative on that one. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. Until I heard the way that you said it, I don't think that the messaging isn't as important as just having enough information to be like, okay, I can see why people are justifying what he's done. Like when people just say it was boring, like to me, I feel like you can't say that because he's talking about you. He's representing you and he doesn't want anybody to just come take from you. So it's like, he's one of the, like, Kendrick is a voice for the person in the village that won't speak up for himself.
I think one of the biggest problems is when you have people who say his performance was boring. You have people who are watching his performance for two different reasons. If you came here and you wanted to feel like you were at a dance party, there were a lot of slow tempo changes in his song choice that they're not going to be able to dance in the living room the whole time. There's some people that were there for the entire experience and the messaging. There were some people that were just there for the fun of it all. And so when somebody says it's boring, I don't take that as what he did. I'm saying they were there for entertainment. They were there to learn. They weren't there for anything other than to just be entertained.
Well, being that Kendrick is not known as to be like this spectacle entertainer, right? Why do you think that he was able to pull so many people to come watch his performance?
No, I think that he's a great performer in the sense that his dancers, the formation of the choreography, the changes in it wasn't like it was one stage and he was running back and forth the entire time and had six.
No, it was a great
backup there.
But I'm saying, why didn't people
visually it was fun.
Why do you think that many people tuned into?
Oh, number one, I think people tuned into it because either you were a Kendrick fan from the beginning, maybe over this last year with everything going on, you became a Kendrick fan, or you just became someone who learned about this beef and it piqued your interest. But I think the majority of them are just Kendrick fans. So they came to listen. I think there were also other people who were probably not Kendrick fans and they came to listen just so that they could be mad and maybe have some disparaging words to say about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was the majority. I think the majority of the people came, number one, because they watched Super Bowl and they watched the halftime shows. I've seen how they showed the variation of halftime shows since the early 2010s or whatever, and how the changes in the number of viewers have evolved. I think that there are people who just like the Super Bowl performance and they want to see what comes up. Then you got the fans, then you got the newer fans, and then you got people who are coming to hate, and then you got the people who are just curious. I think there was a lot. And I think that there's a lot going on, especially in the last year with people trying to dissect his lyrics, that they were interested to see what was this supposed to look like.
Yeah.
I think also there are other people who were, mad about the selection, which was odd, but mad about the selection of who was going to perform. And so then they wanted to come and kind of see.
It was a bunch of different reasons why people came.
Yeah. And I think that a large number of them, the majority of them, are fans. But I think that there were a lot of people who came for a multitude of reasons. And depending on if you came in neutral, if you came in favor of him, or if you came in against him, it made a difference in how you responded to the actual performance itself.
No doubt. Well, I know that his company did really well after that because, they say the NFL does not sponsor any type of money. That's just whoever the artist is. So,
oh, really?
So he covered everything. And I think he grew up to 140 million net worth.
Really?
From that.
Wow.
Yep. PG Lang is his company. So that's where the A is.
What is his company?
PG Lang.
PG Light.
Yeah, that's the name of his company.
So that A was
that A is in all of his, like the little lowercase A is in all of his his artwork, or like in his shirts, the company brand. It's a lowercase A that looks like that. It's cricket too. It's not just a regular lowercase. It's like tilted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No.
So his company did really well.
Yeah. So that was pretty dope. But yeah, I guess I get it. I mean, I give the people that don't care about the message a little more grace, because they're not there yet. And we can't automatically assume people are in the place of receiving a message when they just want to enjoy life or enjoy the music.
Yeah.
But anybody want to give a shout out before we get out of here?
No.
Well, y'all make today better.
No.
What would you make me say?
No, because like usually you be like, oh, well then I want to give a shout out to such and such.
Yeah, no, I want to enjoy the day. I didn't want to think into that capacity. So
wait. I do want to give a shout. Did we talk about, so our daughter is on a bowling team and she was banging it out. She did a singles tournament and got her season high.
Right.
Yeah, career high. We'll call it career high. She did a great job, and so I'm gonna give her a shout out today.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to both of them, because we got to actually watch our kids compete together. And I never in a million years thought I would be able to see that, but it was pretty cool to watch.
It was.
So shout out to our kids and doing extracurricular activities to build that social aspect of life. Y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA. Get after that action, or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose.